Let's talk about solar. In my previous video, I showed you my data from March. I contrasted our northwest facing array with our southeast facing array. A lot of you were pleasantly surprised, as I'm constantly being pleasantly surprised on how well the northwest facing aspect is performing here in the UK, despite not being the ideal. I guess in the old-fashioned motor vehicle expression of there's no replacement for displacement. I guess just having those 16 panels and having that surface area on the northwest facing aspect just makes up for the poor orientation. Anyway, I'm going to quickly run through some of your comments that you've been so kind to share on the video. So first of all, you have planned your system very well. Thank you for the positive feedback. Love the content, keep it coming. I plan to do so, especially now as the sun is shining so much more. I'll be sharing a lot more about our solar panel system and what I'm learning from it as well. Octopus incorrectly adds 5% tax to the export amount. I've noticed this on our export too. Okay, I wonder why that is. I need to do a bit of investigation there. Just check mine. It does appear this is the case. Someone's made a boo-boo in the calcs. It's only recently that it started showing pounds for me on Flux. Yeah, if anyone knows exactly why there's a 5% tax added onto the export amount, I don't know. Not enough waffle. Okay, I know some people like the waffle, but the vast majority of people prefer the short, concise videos. And I've done a little bit of digging on my analytics, and I can see that people drop off when I start waffling. You're right about the savings figures, particularly coal doesn't seem relevant in the UK. So this was a comment about my the app that comes with the Sunsynk inverter, and it gives you a little ROI bit and coal. I have since someone else emailed me directly and encouraged me to go into the settings and change my unit rate, so it will adjust the financial savings hopefully going forward. But yes, the coal savings and the emission savings probably not that relevant in the UK. Last coal plant in the UK closed in September, 75% grid power recently from wind. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, recently we've had so much wind power and very cheap rates on like Octopus Agile, for example. Probably the reason that it shows coal is that Sunsynk is massive in South Africa, where they've got a very different grid network and grid mix to what we've got here in the UK. The necessity of optimizers is a contentious topic. Some folks think the bypass diodes are enough. Would they add time to the return on investment? Anyway, looking forward to our first summer since the installation to see what the system can really do. For March, we managed 576 kilowatt hours from our 10 kilowatt solar edge system. Consumed 330 kilowatt hours. So far, so good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I laid down the data from the optimizers. So far, they're not necessarily looking like they're worthwhile for us. But I understand that if you've got more intermittent and partial shading, like trees or things like that, then potentially optimizers could have more benefit for you. But yeah, for us, we're not seeing a massive benefit. But also adding optimizers to the system is relatively cheap, and you will get the maximum performance from those panels, even though it's a small gain. Our microinverters on rear panels work well. Low light and shading from trees surrounding property. Also 25-year warranty match panels. Easy to increase, change, just modular, no string. Really do well in diffuse light. Cloudy. Yeah, Lawrence, 7 of 9. Microinverters have advantages. They do have some disadvantages though, so it's not all sunshine and roses. But yeah, good to hear that you've got a good system there by the sounds of things, and those rear panels are meant to be excellent. CT clamps are about 5% inaccurate. Even my Victron Quattro reads about 5% over on import and export values compared to my smart meter. I have a bright glow in-home display, and this allows Home Assistant to read the smart meter. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm still not able to commit the time to delve into Home Assistant. Lots of other things going on. Some of the things that I'll be sharing on the channel shortly. You can probably see from this is not because I work on a building site. This is one of my cycling jerseys, and in the future I'll be sharing a lot more about that. If you're interested in saving money and saving emissions, then cycling absolutely trumps everything. You can change to an EV and a heat pump and solar panels all you want, but you start riding a push bike, that's where you really save some big money and some massive emission savings. Thanks for the real data. I've decided, despite what I wrote previously, to add a battery to my new system to be installed next week. So that was 3 days ago. So you've probably in the middle of your install. Let us know how it's going. I think the Octopus Agile and load shifting is best financially for me. I'm paying a company to do the main roof and battery of my house, but I'll be doing my garage roofs myself. Okay, yeah, good. There's plenty of parts of the solar panel system install that I would have been very confident and competent enough to do. There's obviously parts where you absolutely need a qualified electrician, and then there's some parts where it's just better to have someone who is competent and experienced doing those things. But yeah, brilliant. I've recently moved over to Octopus Agile. I put a little post out there doing the calculations for us, since we are no longer consistently heating the building throughout the day. The heat pump switches itself off basically because of the weather compensation curve, but the cold mornings and sometimes in the evening the heat pump still comes on a little bit, but because there's not a huge demand on the heat pump, we've been able to shift our hot water reheat time into the early hours of the morning, utilize Octopus Agile, and we are saving, I mean, over the last few days where Octopus Agile's been incredible, we have been saving a lot of money, pounds every single day. But even if we were at the kind of typical Agile rates that have been trending for the past 3 months, we'd still be saving somewhere between £5 to £10 per month over Octopus Tracker, based on my smart meter data. Okay, being in the south and sunny Southampton will make a big difference to viability of north-facing panels. You're also in the higher COP zone for heat pumps for the economics of them. Also, the kilowatt per pound ratio for solar panels has increased greatly lately, making them more economical. You don't necessarily need a big battery, just enough to get through the peak period at maybe to midnight when cheaper rates kick in. Thanks for the video. Yeah, you've got some important points there. I mean, yeah, of course, the higher COP zone, but it's not as drastic as people might think, unless you're in the Highlands. The difference between me here in Southampton and Manchester is very little. I've had a look at the data, and it's tiny, especially for heat pump and average temperatures. 5%, something like that. It's really negligible. The viability of north facing has nothing to do with being sunny. Being further south, we will naturally get a little bit more daylight than further north. But the north facing panels, just the big, vast mass of them, the surface area, it just works brilliantly in diffuse light and cloudy, overcast situations. So even without any sun, that's when north facing just continues to tick over, covers the base load. It just gives me a steady, kilowatt just all the time. Doesn't really matter what the weather's doing outside, and so pretty much always run grid free when it's daylight anyway. So but an important point, the kilowatt per pound ratio has changed massively for solar panels. Of course, the rest of the associated gear has not decreased as much. So rails, brackets, cabling, those kind of things. Inverters have come down a little bit. Batteries are in the middle of crashing, so watch this space. I'll be sharing some more interesting information about home storage batteries, but watching those market prices tumble so rapidly kind of vindicates my decision to hold back on a battery for now, get myself through the summer where we're pretty much just running off solar and a little bit of agile in the early hours of the morning, where the grid is very low emissions and it's very low cost to us. But pretty much we can't now see a use for a battery. Now talking about what's happening in April, so giving you a bit of a preview of next month's data. But I know the situation is going to change by the winter, and we probably will be looking at a home storage battery again, but by then I know the prices are going to be a lot cheaper. Exactly regarding battery, our 10 kilowatt manages to cover daytime needs currently, even with heat pump. Don't expect it to in winter. Recharge is needed in cheap evening rate. That will cover rest of the year but winter. So 7.5 is what we pay. 90% plus during this time for grid power. Solar free, of course. Well, solar isn't free. There is an opportunity cost there because you could be exporting that at 15p per kilowatt, which is of course the other side to getting a home storage battery. If you can charge it on 7.5 and keep it fully topped up, then the electricity that you're using is half the price of export. Okay, forget conversion rates, because that could be anywhere between 10 to 20% that you're losing on that. So, your 7.5 pence per kilowatt hour isn't really what you're paying, because it costs more to charge the battery and then discharge it. I mean, you're losing kilowatt hours, so effectively it's costing you more. But anyway, yeah, good stuff. 10 kilowatt hour seems a bit of a sweet spot for most people, even with heat pumps. How long did it take for Octopus to set up the seg payments from your install? I should go through the dates on that. Have I got it here to hand? Here you go. Here's the timeline of my whole solar installation. So from panels fitted to the roof, system commissioned, I received the MCS certificate from Dorset Solar Solutions. They were absolutely excellent. The system, they came and commissioned it on a Saturday, so that's why there's a little bit of a delay. So, and then I received the G99 confirmation from SSEN, which actually I'm surprised, because it was G100 because of the export limitation. Anyway, on the same day that I got those certificates, I applied to Octopus for the export. That was on the 30th of January. And then the Octopus export went live on the 6th of February. I'll probably do a video about my whole process getting solar and going through all the different quotes and struggling with so many different companies, and then striking gold and finding Dorset Solar Solutions, who were just a breath of fresh air to deal with, to be honest. Martin and Amy, little family-run business, and it was just a joy. So anyway, where are we going here? I hope that answers your question. How many days was that? That was a week. That was exactly a week, wasn't it? Okay, no waffle, no intro, just straight into it. Both barrels. The performance from the north-ish facing panels will be causing many people to reconsider conventional wisdom. That's the point of the video. Yeah, glad that it hit home. It was only after fitting ours to our south-ish facing roof that I understood the diffuser effect of the clouds. We get greater generation in the early evening on a cloudy day than when it's sunny and the light has moved off the panels. Unfortunately, fitting panels to our north-facing roof would require upgrading inverter and associated wiring, so not a cheap addition. Wish you'd been making videos 2 years ago. Hopefully will help someone who's starting their journey. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's exactly why I really feel the need to share some of these things on my videos. I could make loads of absolutely useless videos, but it would just be reinforcing what a million other people are doing out there and sharing. And so I try and focus on some of the areas that aren't being covered either on YouTube or articles, or by the perceived wisdom, the common conventional way of doing things from installers. So our PV has microinverters, so easy to add as many or few as we like. Also, same 25-year warranty as bifacial panels, which is what sold us, compared to lesser panel inverted string at the same cost. Well, you say that, but you still have a lot of the same issues with adding panels, getting scaffolding to start with. You still need to as far as I understand it as well, one of the issues with your microinverters is you will have to reapply to your DNO if you want to add any panels, whereas with a hybrid inverter, for example, the DNO gives the permission to that inverter, and if you then need to add a string of panels and the inverter's capable of it, or you need to add 2 panels to the string, you don't need to speak to your DNO. So again, there's a lot of buzz at the moment about microinverters being the absolute, silver bullet that's just going to solve everything, and there's no downsides. There's quite a few downsides to microinverters, so it's worth everyone just educating themselves, because there's a lot of good things and a lot of things to love about microinverters, which you'll highlight in Lawrence 7 of 9, but it does come with some downsides and some negatives as well. I think you'd be best running them on a separate inverter or microinverter, keeping both systems separate from each other. Yeah, probably if you've got an existing system. I mean, every situation is different, but anyway, great video again. I have 2 panels on my northwest roof, and I compare output regularly to our 14 on southeast. Wow, you're lucky to have 14 on a southeast aspect. Yeah, I think I've made my position on home storage battery quite clear, especially the Alpha ESS battery is a AC coupled battery, so you're losing even more on your conversion losses than if you had a DC coupled battery with a hybrid inverter. You would lose less on your conversion losses. So your 10 kilowatts is effectively straight away at least only really 9 kilowatts on a good day with 10% conversion losses. If you're experiencing high conversion losses, which you probably are on an AC coupled battery, it's probably more a usable 8 kilowatts in real terms. But sorry, I feel like I'm getting down on you here, Lawrence 7 of 9. It sounds like you've got a great system, a phenomenal system, and I know that in terms of raw output, those rear bifacial panels and those M-phase microinverters, you'll probably outperform any other system in most circumstances in the actual pure output. I'm not convinced that they are worth the premium price. Personally, I'm not sure that they do offer the value for money, but they're not a huge jump up in capital investment. So if you really do want the peak performance from the available square meters on your roof, then it's probably the thing to go for. So yeah, anyway, brilliant. Exported 292 in March, but still on Octopus Go. Even on Flux, wouldn't have got close to those earnings. You're on the tracker. Yes, for that video, the March video, I was on tracker, and in crunching the data for that video, that is actually what spurred me to move on to Agile. Many hours in a spreadsheet that I probably shouldn't have spent so long, and using the Octopus Compare app, which always gives you a good feel anyway and kind of indicates what you should be looking at. But yes, now we're on Agile, and that is so far working out really well for us. But as I've previously said in this video, the Agile rates have been exceptionally low for the last week. My March south-southeast panel average in Stratford-upon-Avon was 32 kilowatt hours compared to your 33 kilowatt hours. Battery Tech, I don't know what your kilowatt peak was. Oh no, sorry, that's per panel. Okay. Interesting. Battery Tech, very interesting. I went with an internal location as cells are very temperature sensitive from experience. Yeah, I don't want to get into the controversy about Battery Tech inside the house, which, okay, I'll just give you a 30-second rant and monologue about it. The data is weak. The fire service who offered this advice don't have a lot of evidence to back it up, basically. It's creating a lot of fear-mongering in the industry. They're worried about home batteries collapsing through roofs when there's a fire. If your house is that much on fire that ceilings are collapsing and joists are being burnt through, then you've got other things to worry about if you're still in the house and you've got batteries collapsing on you, or even if the fire service are in the house at that point, it's not safe, and they typically wouldn't be in a house at that time. There's lots of other things that they can do to mitigate it. Also, the fact that the vast majority of home storage batteries in the loft now are wall mounted. You look at the range of home storage batteries, nearly all of them are wall mounted ones now. I know some people have like rack mounted batteries, like Pylon Tech, for example, but that's kind of a minority thing. Anyway, I need to shut up about this. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and it seems I hate conspiracy theories, but when I see something like that, my internal alarm bells are going, is this another bit of propaganda and lobbying from the fossil fuel industries to try and stunt the growth of the renewable industry? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for sharing. Solar Edge, hopefully we'll catch up with LFP soon, which is a lot more stable and definitely suitable for having in your home, and better than burning very combustible things inside like a gas boiler or a gas hob, for example. But we do that very regularly and don't seem to care about putting these potential big bombs in our house. Vehicle to grid with LFP is your aim. Mine too. We can dream, but unfortunately that is still a pipe dream for most of us. Forgive me, I don't remember your total solar panel setup. You must have missed it in the video. I do share exactly how many panels there are and their peak, but basically there's 6 430 watt on the southeast, and then there are 16 430 watt on the northwest. And if you want more details, go back and look in the previous video of when I had it installed. I went through all the details, including the Sunsynk inverter exactly. My Sunsynk is consistently optimistic at the moment. Sunsynk CT clamps don't seem to be the most accurate for some reason. Interesting. So I have since, I'm going to include it in my April stats video, I've since looked at the generation meter, looked at my smart meter and the export readout on that, and compared it to the Sunsynk inverter, and my Sunsynk inverter is pessimistic. So I don't know how that happens. I don't know what can affect the CT clamps reliability. I don't even know if Sunsynk uses different CT clamps for their different inverters. I don't know if you've got a 8.8 kilowatt inverter like mine, or if you've got one of their other models. But I'm kind of pleased to know that at least all of the readings that I've shared and my March data, the reality is that the figures are higher than that, and the whole system is performing better than that. Which is great. I guess it's better to be round that way than over egging it. I asked for a design that produced 10 kilowatt and was initially surprised that meant 30% of the panels were north facing. The biggest downside is snow, which takes longer to melt on that section. Not a problem for me here in Southampton, but if you're further north in the country, then I can imagine that could be an issue. In other seasons, those panels stay cooler, so more efficient. This is another point that I haven't really touched on much. I did quickly indicate that in a previous video, but yeah, panels work more efficiently when they're cooler, and of course the northwest facing ones not in the direct sunlight, so they are being helped a little bit more. Production swings from 9% of my total solar in December to 30% in June. Over a year, it's worth it. It's just those winter days when you want to see just one more kilowatt. Yeah, very true. And that's when there's no replacement for displacement comes up. Just pure surface area is what's going to try and help you through some of those winter overcast days. Thanks for the info. I'd be interested to know your actual compass angle degree from north, which is at 0 degrees your northwest roof faces. Okay, I will, in the comments here, I will post the link to my video where I talk about planning the roof and using open solar, and in that video you'll see the overlay of my house. I mean, I have covered it in a few videos, so you must be a new viewer to the channel. But basically, we're almost exactly northwest and exactly southeast. We're just off by 1 or 2 degrees. So, yeah, I'll share the exact details. Anyway, thanks for your videos. Really has sorted my head on the optimizers or not question. Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm still glad I went for them, and they give me panel by panel data, which is also interesting. Whether they're worth the price and whether I'll ever get a financial return on investment for them, I don't know. Maybe they will be the last thing on the system that will be paid off, I guess, by a return on investment. I've just discovered your videos. I had Sunsynk 5.6 kilowatt hours spread across 3 aspects and 2 times 5.3 kilowatt batteries fitted in January. I've also switched to Octopus and now looking to have an air source heat pump to replace my back boiler. Good choice. Excellent. I find Sunsynk's way of calculating the financial return to be a little over the top. According to the app, I've already had 9% return on investment. It's not as good as that, but my total electric bill from the 10th of January 24 to today so far has been less than 20 quid, which includes the period before the SEG was set up and a 5-day period when the system broke down due to an isolator burning out. Where did you get your spreadsheets to do your comparisons from? I have my own, which include taking the readings from the generation meter, but I don't know how useful this is proven to be. Great content. I did get a load of template spreadsheets from other people who had done this previously, but I just like my own way of working, and I'm a bit weird, and I think my brain works differently to other people. Who knows, with all this emerging research about neurodiversity, maybe that'll explain a lot of the reason I do things differently to people, and I'm always trying to push against the conventional wisdom. But a couple of points in there. Plough forward with the air source heat pump. Solar panels was a great thing, and we're glad we did it, but it hasn't really changed our life. Heat pumps, it's hard to kind of state exactly how much that changes the comfort of the home and how happy we are with the heat pump. Definitely a better choice than solar. On the calculating financial return, as I said previously in the video, you can change your unit rate. So I think for mine, I just put it down to 12 pence per kilowatt hour, because that's roughly what we're averaging on the import from the Octopus Agile. You could change that to Octopus Tracker Rate over the average from the last year or whatever, but mine was set quite high, and I'm guessing that's something that the installer does when they install it, and they probably just set it at the price cap rate, which, you know, I mean, they can only do what they can do. So I set it on the web portal. I presume you can probably adjust it in the app as well, but I'm quite enjoying using the web portal on my desktop PC. I think you said that you had optimizers installed. Is this one per panel? The optimized figures seem to show little benefit. Are they worth the additional cost? Thanks for all the info. So yeah, my optimizers are on all 6 of the southeast facing panels. Financially, probably not worth it unless if budget's not a consideration for you, then just get them. They're just going to give you panel by panel breakdown. They are going to give you the very best generation from your panels. There is the potential that there's another point of failure introduced into the system by having optimizers. That said, installers seem to regard the Tigo optimizers that we've got as being pretty reliable and working pretty well and not having a high failure rate. So I don't want to make a definitive judgment on optimizers until the whole season's passed. And bear in mind that this is just my circumstances and my home, and depending on what kind of shading and aspect and everything else you have, optimizers may work better or worse for you. So, you know, I'm just the layman, just showing my data with, just kind of just anecdotal evidence, really, isn't it? Thank you everyone for watching and bearing with me through this. I hope that this has just reinforced the previous video. We're very happy with our solar panel system. We're using very little energy, and with the combination of now running off solar and Octopus Agile overnight, give you a little sneak peek. We've got no home storage battery, and we're in April. But yesterday, which was Monday, the charges for all of the electricity we used for the day, I think it worked out as 36p for the whole day of electricity charges, and we exported something like £4 or £5 worth of export. So that's a little snapshot of how good Agile is and how good the solar's doing. So look forward to my April update. It gets interesting, especially the northwest facing panels, and now getting the late sunshine on those and how that's extending our generation. But I've given away too much of the game anyway. The next few weeks I've got some videos from my wife's going to be in one about heat pumps. I've got another one about home storage batteries. And then as the sun's coming out, I'm going to start sharing about my cycling and my motorcycling, which is a massive part of my life and a big part of what got me into the whole renewable energy and becoming green. So it's kind of my gateway drug, if you accept that, if you allow me that term, into this stuff. The cycling came first before everything else. Anyway, enough rambling, I'm not allowed to say rambling. Enough waffling. I'll see you again. Thanks for watching.